Hi there friends, it's so good to see you here today. Whether you're settling in after a long day or taking a little break from your morning routine, I hope this finds you feeling peaceful and ready for whatever comes next. Life after 65 can be such a beautiful chapter full of wisdom, freedom, and opportunities to truly enjoy the moments that matter most. But let's be honest, it can also come with its fair share of challenges, right? Especially when it comes to navigating relationships with family. You know, sometimes the people we love the most, the ones who've been by our side through thick and thin, can unknowingly become a source of stress or even conflict. And if we're not careful, those little tensions can grow into something bigger than we ever intended. That's why today, I want to talk about something that might surprise you. 5 things you should never feel obligated to share with your family after 65 if you want to live a more peaceful, fulfilling life. Now, before I go any further, let me say this: I'm not here to encourage secrecy or distance. Far from it. What I am here to do is help you protect your peace. Because once we reach this stage of life, we deserve to live with less worry, fewer unnecessary arguments, and more time spent doing what brings us joy. So, if you've ever felt like you're walking on eggshells around certain family members, or maybe you've found yourself over-explaining your choices just to keep the peace, then this conversation is for you. Let's start with the first secret, one that might hit close to home for many of us. I want you to think for a moment. How often have you shared your financial situation with your adult children or other relatives, only to later wish you hadn't? Maybe you mentioned how much money you had saved up. Or perhaps you told them about a recent investment you made, thinking it would bring you closer together. But instead, the conversations started to shift. Suddenly, there were subtle hints about helping out with bills, or maybe even outright requests for support. Now, don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to help the people you love. In fact, being able to provide for your family is one of life's greatest blessings. But here's the thing: once you share details about your finances, especially specific numbers, it can create expectations that are hard to manage. And if you're not in a place where you can give without compromising your own security, those expectations can lead to guilt, pressure, or even resentment. I remember talking to a woman named Marjorie, who was in her early 70s. She'd casually mentioned to her son that she had some extra savings set aside after selling her home. A few weeks later, he asked her for a loan to help start his new business. She wanted to help, but deep down, she knew that giving away a chunk of her savings would leave her vulnerable if an emergency came up. She ended up saying no, which hurt their relationship for months. She told me, if I could go back, I would have kept my finances private. Not because I didn't care, but because I needed to protect myself. So here's the takeaway. You are under no obligation to share the details of your financial life with anyone, not even your closest family members. If someone asks, you can gently redirect the conversation or say something like, I prefer to keep those details private, but I'll always let you know if I can help. It's not about shutting people out. It's about setting boundaries that allow you to live confidently and securely. Now, moving on to the second secret, and this one is especially important for those of you who are still working part-time, volunteering, or exploring new hobbies later in life. Never feel pressured to explain or justify your lifestyle choices to your family. Let me explain. By now, you've likely lived enough life to know what makes you happy and what doesn't. You've raised kids, held down jobs, managed homes, and supported others through tough times. Now, it's your turn to focus on you. But sometimes, well-meaning family members can unintentionally make us feel guilty for choosing a different path. Maybe you decided to retire earlier than expected and now spend your days traveling, gardening, or simply enjoying your favorite books. Or perhaps you've chosen to downsize your home or move into a retirement community. Whatever your choice, you may find that some family members question your decisions. Are you sure you can afford that? Don't you miss having a full schedule? What will the neighbors think? These questions might come from a place of concern, but they can still make you feel like you need permission to live your life the way you want. And honestly, at this point in life, you shouldn't need anyone else's approval. Your happiness matters. Your peace of mind matters. And if you've worked hard to build a life that reflects your values and brings you joy, then that's exactly what you should be doing. No explanations necessary. Think of it this way. When your kids were younger, did you expect them to ask for your permission every time they made a life decision? Probably not. You wanted them to learn and grow and make choices that suited them. Well, guess what? That same principle applies to you now. You've earned the right to live your life on your terms. And here's the beauty of it: when you stop seeking validation for your choices, something powerful happens. You begin to feel lighter, more confident, more in control. And ironically, the people around you start respecting your decisions more because they see how at peace you are with them. So whether it's choosing to spend your winters in a warmer climate, saying no to family gatherings that drain your energy, or simply taking time for yourself without explaining where you're going, on it. Live it, love it. All right, I want to take a quick breath here and check in with you. Are you still with me? Good, because we've got more to talk about. These secrets aren't just about keeping information to yourself, they're about reclaiming your power, your voice, and your right to live a life that feels good to you, regardless of what others may think. Before we move on to the third secret, I want to remind you that everything we're discussing today comes from a place of love and self-respect. This isn't about pushing people away or building walls. It's about protecting your emotional well-being so you can show up in the world as your best, happiest self. So, if you're feeling inspired so far, I invite you to stick around. We're just getting started. There are still 3 more powerful secrets to uncover, and trust me, they're worth hearing. Together, we're going to explore how letting go of certain expectations, comparisons, and even outdated roles can open the door to a more joyful, peaceful life after 6. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever found yourself holding back something from your family to preserve your peace? What helped you make that decision? Drop a comment below and let's connect. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another empowering conversation like this one. Alright, my friend, let's keep going. We've got more ground to cover, and I can't wait to share the next secret with you. Stay with me, it's all leading to something really special. Alright, friend, I hope you're feeling comfortable and ready to dive deeper into this conversation because we've got some powerful truths ahead. So far, we've talked about 2 important things that you may want to keep to yourself after 65: your financial details and your lifestyle choices. These are all about protecting your peace, your autonomy, and your emotional well-being. Now, let's move on to the third secret, one that might feel a bit more personal, but trust me, it's incredibly freeing once you embrace it. This one is about your health, or more specifically, certain aspects of your health that don't need to be shared with everyone in the family. I know, when you're older, people tend to worry. Your kids might ask how you're sleeping, if you're eating right, or if you've had any new symptoms lately. And while their concern comes from love, there are times when sharing every little ache, pain, or diagnosis can actually create unnecessary stress for you and for them. Let me give you an example. Imagine you go to the doctor and they mention something like mild high blood pressure or early signs of arthritis. You mention it casually at dinner with your kids, not thinking much of it. But then suddenly, your daughter starts checking in daily, asking what you're eating, whether you're taking your vitamins, and even suggesting alternative treatments she read about online. Your son offers to drive you to specialists you didn't say you needed. What started as a simple update becomes a full-blown intervention. Now again, I'm not saying your family doesn't care or that you shouldn't share anything. If you're facing a serious illness or going through a major surgery, having support is essential. But for those everyday aches, minor changes, or routine concerns, you don't have to broadcast every detail. In fact, keeping some of that private can help you avoid being treated like a patient before you even feel like one. Think of it this way: you've spent most of your life caring for others, making sure everyone else was okay. Now, it's okay to take that energy and turn it inward. Not every symptom needs to become a family discussion. Not every test result needs to be shared. You get to decide what's worth talking about and what's best kept between you and your doctor. And here's the bonus. When you stop oversharing your health concerns, you often start feeling better emotionally. Because sometimes, just hearing someone say, "Oh no, that sounds serious," can make us spiral into worry that wasn't even there before. Our minds are powerful, and the way we interpret information can affect our physical well-being too. So next time you're tempted to list off your latest symptoms at the dinner table or during a family Zoom call, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this helping me feel stronger or more anxious? Is this necessary for them to know? If the answer leans toward anxiety or overreaction, it's perfectly fine to smile and say, "Oh, nothing to worry about, time handling it," and leave it at that. Alright, moving on to the fourth secret, and this one hits close to home for many of us. It has to do with your past decisions, specifically regrets or things you wish you'd done differently in life. Now, I'll be the first to admit, none of us are perfect. We've all made choices we look back on and think, maybe I could have handled that better. Maybe you missed out on a career opportunity, or perhaps you wish you'd traveled more when you were younger. Or maybe there was a relationship that ended badly, and you still wonder what might have happened if you'd chosen a different path. But here's the thing. Those reflections are yours to hold. They don't need to be shared with your children or other relatives, especially not in a way that makes them feel responsible for your happiness or guilt. Why? Because when we talk about our regrets with loved ones, particularly our adult children, they often internalize them. They might think, did my mum give up her dreams because of me? Did my dad miss out on opportunities because he was busy raising us? And while that may have been part of the story, it's not fair to place that weight on their shoulders now. You see, your journey, the good, the bad, and everything in between, is exactly what shaped you into the wise, resilient person you are today. And your kids, no matter how much they love you, weren't meant to carry the burden of your unfulfilled dreams. That's a heavy load for anyone to bear, especially when it's something they had no control over. Instead of focusing on what you didn't do, try shifting the narrative to gratitude. When conversations come up about life choices, you can say something like, "You know, I made some decisions I wouldn't make again, but they taught me so much. And honestly, I wouldn't trade the life I've lived for anything." That kind of mindset not only protects your peace, but it also models strength and acceptance for the people around you. It shows your family that you're not stuck in the past, that you're proud of who you've become and where you are now. And let me tell you, there's a freedom that comes with letting go of old regrets. Once you stop replaying the what-ifs out loud, you'll find yourself living more fully in the present. You'll start noticing the beauty in your current life, the joy in your relationships, and the opportunities still waiting for you even now. So, if you've ever caught yourself starting a sentence with, "If only I had," or "Back then, I should have," consider holding those thoughts close instead of sharing them. They belong to you, and they don't define your future. Alright, we've covered 4 powerful secrets so far. Keeping your finances private, not feeling pressured to explain your lifestyle choices, being selective about what you share regarding your health, holding on to your regrets without passing them on to your family. Each one is a step toward living with more peace, confidence, and clarity after 65. And guess what? There's one more secret left to uncover. One that might surprise you, but I promise, it's just as important as the rest. So stick with me, because we're heading into the final stretch. We're going to talk about something that touches nearly every family dynamic, and that's the idea of always being the strong one. You know what I mean. For years, you've been the rock, the problem solver, the one everyone turns to in a crisis. But here's the truth. You don't have to carry that role forever. More on that next, including why stepping back from that responsibility isn't selfish. It's actually one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself and your family. So if you're enjoying this conversation, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the final part. And if these ideas resonated with you, drop a comment below and tell me which secret stood out the most. Are you already practicing any of these? I'd love to hear from you. Alright, my friend, let's keep going. We're almost there, and trust me, the last secret is one you won't want to miss. Alright, friend, we're almost at the end of our journey today, but trust me, this final secret is one you'll want to hear. So far, we've covered 4 powerful ways to protect your peace after 65. Keeping your finances private, not feeling pressured to explain your lifestyle choices, being selective about what you share regarding your health, and holding on to your regrets without passing them on. Now, let's talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, because it goes against everything many of us have been conditioned to believe. This last secret is about stepping back from a role you may have held for decades. The role of the family's emotional caretaker. Yes, I'm talking about being the strong one. You know who you are. You've always been the person everyone turns to when life gets tough. When your kids were young, you were the one who stayed calm during emergencies, handled every holiday gathering, and made sure everyone felt taken care of, even if it meant putting yourself last. And honestly, that's part of what makes people like you so special. Your strength has held families together, guided loved ones through hard times, and created a sense of stability that others relied on. But here's the truth. Just because you can carry that weight doesn't mean you have to anymore. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone asked you how you were doing? Not just a polite "how are you," but a real, honest check-in where they listened and offered support without expecting anything in return. For many of us, especially those who've spent a lifetime giving, receiving genuine care can feel unfamiliar or even selfish. We worry that if we stop jumping in to fix things, people will struggle. We fear that if we say no or take a step back, we'll be letting others down. But here's what I want you to consider. You've already given so much. You've built lives, raised children, supported friends, and navigated challenges that would have overwhelmed most people. Now, it's okay to slow down. It's okay to say, "I need rest." It's okay to let someone else handle the details for once. Because, here's the thing, you don't have to be the strong one all the time. And, by allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to ask for help, or to simply sit back while someone else takes the lead, you give others permission to grow into their own strength, too. Let me share a story with you. A woman named Helen came to me after years of managing every family event, handling disputes between her adult children, and even stepping in financially when someone fell behind. She told me, "I didn't realize how exhausted I was until my daughter said, 'Mum, let me plan Thanksgiving this year.' And do you know what? It was beautiful. I actually got to enjoy the meal instead of worrying about whether there was enough food or if the gravy was seasoned right." That moment changed everything for Helen. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to be cared for, rather than always caring for others. And guess what? Her family didn't fall apart. In fact, they grew closer because for once, she wasn't carrying the entire load alone. So if you find yourself constantly being the go-to person for advice, conflict resolution, or decision-making, I want to gently encourage you to start letting go. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to solve every problem. You don't have to attend every gathering if it drains your energy. Instead, try saying things like, "That sounds like something you'd handle beautifully. I trust you to make the best choice here. You know, I think I'm going to take a break from planning this year. What do you think?" These small shifts can create space for you to breathe, recharge, and live more intentionally. And the beautiful thing is, when you model that kind of self-care, you give your loved ones permission to do the same. Now, I want to wrap up today's conversation by bringing all 5 secrets together, not as a list, but as a reminder of why these ideas matter. We talked about keeping your finances private, not out of secrecy, but out of self-protection. We discussed owning your lifestyle choices without apology, because your happiness matters. We explored the power of being selective with your health updates, so you don't unintentionally create unnecessary worry. We touched on holding on to your past regrets without sharing them, so you don't place emotional burdens on others. And finally, we talked about stepping back from the role of the family's emotional caretaker, so you can reclaim your energy and allow others to grow. All of these ideas come down to one simple truth. After 65, your peace is worth protecting. Not because you're fragile, but because you've earned the right to live with less stress, fewer obligations, and more freedom to enjoy the moments that bring you joy. And here's the best part. You don't have to make big, dramatic changes overnight. Start small. Choose one area where you'd like to set a boundary or let go of an expectation. See how it feels. Notice the shift in your energy, your mood, your overall well-being, because ultimately, living peacefully after 65 isn't about cutting people off or withdrawing from life. It's about showing up as the fullest version of yourself. It's about making choices that reflect your needs, your values, and your desire to live with purpose and joy. So as we close today's conversation, I want to leave you with this. You are still growing, still evolving, still capable of creating new chapters filled with meaning, connection, and contentment. And if this video resonated with you, I hope you'll take a moment to like and subscribe. Because there's so much more to explore, together ways to stay healthy, stay connected, and stay empowered at any age. And if you're feeling inspired, drop a comment below and tell me which of these 5 secrets stood out to you the most. Have you already started practicing any of them? Or maybe there's something else you've learned about protecting your peace later in life. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Whether this is your first time watching or you've been here before, know that you're seen, you're valued, and you deserve to live a life that feels good in your soul. Here's to embracing the next chapter with grace, wisdom, and a whole lot of joy. Until next time, my friend, take care of yourself and keep shining.